You go right.
What about the other side?
Or no, I don't want you to get stuck.
We'll all stay at 6 feet. We're gonna do this.
I'll go there if you want.
I'm in that. As long as it's been back, you know.
Awesome, thank you. We're up.
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right, good morning and welcome back to the halls of government in person. It's really been a long time, but thankfully we're at a point where we can probably get these kind of press conferences. Everybody is together to do it. We have a significant announcement today of a partnership between the Board of Lucas County Community Job and Family Services and Fair Housing of Toledo. This significant partnership deals around Landlord-Tenant Mediation. Landlord-Tenant Mediation is a service that hasn't been available in Lucas County for years, if ever, in a meaningful way. It is a process that when Fair Housing approached us almost 3 years ago, and through that time with its new director, Bree Lannery, we decided it is a preeminent issue in the housing dilemma that faces residents in Lucas County. We have housing challenges in Lucas County, no doubt. I think that doesn't bear much repeating to do it. Pre-COVID and pre-loss of income for many people, this was still an issue. So this is not an issue of landlord-tenant mediation that was driven entirely out of the pandemic. These lingering issues of what happens between landlords and tenants has been with us for a long time. And if you just go back and look into the dockets of eviction courts, of the housing court in the city, not just the city of Toledo, but Sylvania and Oregon and Maumee, this problem predates a pandemic. Obviously, the pandemic has given us some other tools with other things to help on, but it's a context. Let's just talk about housing for a minute in this broad context of what this means to help. You know, housing is a basic need. You have food, you have water, you have light, but you have to have shelter. And housing is that shelter. Housing is complicated in a society. You know, we don't really build our own houses anymore. Very few of us individually just don't build stuff or find a cave to live in. We either buy, most of us we either buy or we rent. Both of these things require a relationship between the person of the property and somebody else. Both require relationships. If you buy, it's a very prescribed relationship. There's a relationship between you, the property owner, and the bank who's given you the money to own the property. And these relationships are largely defined through contracts and in legal systems that are pretty precise. But half the people around here rent, and that still requires relationships. This relationship between a landlord and tenant is nowhere near as defined as the formal relationships with banks. So what does that mean? Landlords own personal property, right? Renters occupy that property. Many times this is a relationship between strangers. You go to the public marketplace, you come to rent the property, you're still a stranger to the property owner when you enter into this transactions. And we all know that relationships are complicated. We look at our own lives. Anytime that there's this really personal relationship, especially over a basic need like housing, relationships sometimes need help, especially around a basic need. We can look back through our history of evictions and see that it's just not rent that is not being paid. Drives evictions are strained between property owners, landlords, and occupiers, tenants. It's a whole bunch of things. It's move in, move out, it's return security deposits, it's first months, last months, it's conditions, whether it be lead or water lines or yard conditions, roof. People have expectations of each other in a complicated relationship, especially around housing. And when those relationships break down, the only avenue we've had in the past is to get into a court relation, to bring the justice system in through evictions, through housing court. We think what we're announcing today, this partnership of the landlord-tenant mediation, is upstream of that, and that's where it needs to be. Our goal is to repair any communication relationships between landlords and tenants, and both will bring legitimate grievances to this process. This is not this is a neutral third party. This is not siding on the side of tenants every time or landlords every time. This is both. People bring many times legitimate grievance, and to mediate legitimate grievance prior to it going to court is most what civil societies to do. Again, this is an upstream problem. let's work things out on the personal relationship that exists between two very important partners. And we know that housing leads to stability. One of the largest causes of poverty in our county and in the nation is lack of stableness in their life. If you don't have a stable place to live, your job becomes in danger, your children become in danger, their education is in danger, your very well-being is in danger in an unstable relationship. And at the core of that stable relationship is housing. So what we're announcing today, this is not rental assistance. Rental assistance could be part of this, but if you look at the issues, it transcends all just money. Money many times is the core of people's disputes. Landlord-tenant relationship mediation is not money exclusively. It is all those other things that go in it. So we're very proud today to have the commissioners find a way to have funding after years of debate and searching. We didn't quit on this process. And we're here today to announce that partnership. We'll turn it over to Bree Flannery, Executive Director of Fair Housing. She can really tell you how this is going to work. This is kind of the why. The really important part is the housing. Again, it's not just rental assistance. This is a comprehensive look of keeping people in stable housing.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Gergen, Commissioner Gergen took all my talking points. You summed it up very nicely. No, it's okay. I just want to say that, you know, I joined the Fair Housing Center in October of 2018, and one of the first things I noticed when I got here to Toledo was that the Fair Housing Center gets a lot of calls, and by a lot of calls I mean hundreds of calls from tenants or landlords who are experiencing issues that are not fair housing. Fair housing involves some form of discrimination based on, you know, your race or your gender, whether you're disabled, children in the household, things of that nature. So, but so many of the calls, and in one quarter we tracked it, we had almost 400 calls that were strictly landlord-tenant. And so we would try and refer folks out to other agencies, but so many of these cases, you know, if we had a mediator on staff that could help folks resolve their differences, wouldn't have needed to go to legal aid or other agencies, you know, that we refer housing issues to that are not fair housing. And so one of the first goals I set was to, you know, work with, you know, commissioners and other funders to create a landlord-tenant mediation program. So I'm very, very excited to see this come to fruition in a relatively short period of time since I joined the Fair Housing Center. And so just, you know, just to briefly summarize, as Commissioner Gergen said, mediation is a confidential and voluntary process, and mediation is something that is for both tenants and landlords. So many of the issues that people experience, if they had a neutral third party to help them resolve it and, you know, work out, could then not result in an eviction. And so in that sense, you know, mediation can be an eviction prevention tool. And across the country, these types of mediation programs have been found to, you know, reduce evictions and increase people's housing stability, which is so important, especially now, you know, with the challenges that we are facing in our communities. You know, a couple of examples that of the type of issues, repair issues. You know, a tenant has requested repairs and the housing provider has not responded or has not made them, you know, the repairs properly. You know, sometimes there are communication issues, and having a mediator, you know, be able to be the go-between, you know, with the parties to help them work out when the repairs are going to be made, what repairs are going to be made, you know, is a valuable tool. Also, the biggest part of this is education. So every person that our mediators talk to is being educated on their housing rights and responsibilities, because, you know, I can't make that point, you know, strongly enough. There are rights and responsibilities on both sides of that relationship, but people often don't understand what they are. And so, you know, the mediator and mediation process is also an education tool so that people people are able to follow the laws that, need to be followed and work, more, work more collaboratively to make that housing relationship that Commissioner Gergen described that, often you enter into with a total stranger, yet it's a somewhat intimate kind of a relationship because you're talking about someone's shelter, their home, and we all know what the word home, the feelings that evokes. And so, having help in navigating that relationship is something that is so important. So I'm really excited that we've been able to get this off the ground. And I want to just briefly introduce Meg Borland. She is one of the 2 mediators that we have hired to work on this program. Meg has over 10 years of mediation experience. She's a seasoned mediator, and I'll let you say a few words if you want, but we're really excited to have her on board, as well as another mediator, Precious Tate, who is unable to be with us this morning.
Thank you, Marie. I am beyond excited to be a part of this process. We've been working, it's very exciting to be a part of assisting our community that is upstream of the legal process. I've been working with the courts for the 10 years that I've been mediating. And the legal process can, in many ways, be overwhelming to both tenants who don't necessarily have the resources to find the legal assistance they need, as well as the landlords who don't necessarily want to take that route with people that they're providing homes for. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to work with the community to find ways to communicate with each other, identify some issues, hopefully educate them in better ways of communicating to preserve the relationship so that there aren't necessarily relationships being destroyed. Hopefully people can keep their houses or have better opportunities moving forward with the next relationship they build with a landlord. So this is a really wonderful opportunity. I'm very honored to be working with some amazing, amazing people at Fair Housing, and the level of enthusiasm and excitement is just, it's wonderful. Thank you.
This is really a terrific concept, and when Marie brought it forward a few years ago, it was like an aha moment, like this makes so much sense, and how do we get this off the ground? Pete and I were around in the Toledo City Council days when I think the housing court started, and when you think about it, it feels like, can you imagine having to go to court because you're having housing issues? It feels like it's just so daunting. And then also you're in the middle of a crisis with where am I gonna live? But then you just have to stop and go to court. It's just not the right fit for people who feel vulnerable and in jeopardy and need assistance to have to take that leap all the way to a court process before you can get some help. So the program is great. In the last several days, we've heard a lot of people saying more social service programs and less of the other kinds of things that we're all learning about, embracing and trying to change. Well, this is another opportunity to help some of our vulnerable populations, especially in the battered economy. You're more likely to lose your home, your shelter in this situation with, I think it's as much as 27% of the people are out of work. And think of that, think of the number of people being affected at this point. So after, in your amazing program, and you have the talent that you've brought on board is really terrific. So what resources can they use to help people through that mediation process? We can't go away now. We can't create something to put it on your shoulders and then walk away. We have a PRC program, which is prevention, retention, and contingency. It's a plan to help people link to the resources that are available in our community, provided by the government, from the federal government, to help people through the problems that could clearly upset the landlord. It can help with the shelter assistance, which is the rent program. It can help with utility assistance if they're unable to pay their utility costs. It can help with the employment issues. Why aren't people paying their rent? Why are they getting cumbersome around keeping a house in good straits? What likely can be related to an employment problem. So that can help. And it can also help with vehicle repairs. So there has to be a comprehensive program for your mediators to be able to use in order to do this work. So the PRC program is available. We're asking even for more money because through COVID we've used PRC funds a little bit more often, but these are funds that the commissioners can direct to help people with these kinds of additional resources. So, in our Ohio Department of Planning and Development, under the leadership of Tanya Saunders, can help people through the work requirements that get added on to some of the PRC funds, and so we can do wraparound services and make sure people have help. Job seekers can get help with rental assistance through this program at our Ohio Means Jobs, which is formerly known as the Source. So we're happy to be a part of this. We thank everybody for your very hard work, the leadership, the insight, the vision that you had is coming before us today, and we're so proud to work with everyone, and we look forward to many great successes moving forward. Thank you.
Sorry. Good morning. Just a couple quick statements. Mediation works. In my past life, we had a mediation program for small claims programs that was all volunteer lawyers. They did it for free, and we settled 80 to 90% of our cases. Small claims cases that sometimes include housing cases. As Pete has indicated, these are common sense solutions. They work. And this is something that I'm very excited about as a commissioner to aid in. But this is also affecting places not only in Toledo, but also outside of the city of Toledo. And so, as Pete said, it's not always about money, but sometimes it is about money. And we have to find ways to get money to folks that need help. And that's part of this program and part of what we're looking for. At our meeting yesterday, the county commissioners voted to redirect money out of our Community Housing Impact Preservation Grant, which is, the acronym is CHIP. You know, people in government love acronyms. Have you noticed that? And so I try not to use acronyms because I can never remember what they mean. But it's the CHIP program. What this means, this money that we're redirecting will be for actual rent assistance for folks that qualify outside of the city of Toledo. What that means is that if you are income eligible, that means that you are 80% of the household income or the median income in Lucas County. You can qualify for up to 3 months of rental assistance. It is a program that is, again, adding backbones, as Tina has indicated. You have to add some meat to this, and sometimes it's about money, and this provides money that we can give short-term. Also, people that have been impacted directly by COVID, and there have been layoffs, they also can apply for up to 3 months of rental assistance. We have a person by the name of Nikki Holland who will be spearheading this, and that will be the person that folks should get in touch with, and we will provide that information through the Lucas County Commissioners. So this is, we've looked at the impact on our community, people that, for instance, that are coming out of jail, reentry. And the most important program is Housing First. And that applies not only to reentry, but applies to the community as a whole. If you don't have housing, you don't have stability. This is a step in that direction. It's something that we can provide for up to 3 months of rental assistance for families outside of the city of Toledo. Toledo is doing their program as well. This is something that will help real people in real time. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Tina. Any questions?
How much is being allocated towards this?
We have up to $58,000 that we have moved out of these CHIP funds, and we'll see how the reaction is and what the need is, and it's something that we can redirect additional funds down the road if we need to. Actually, we started with 19,000 and we can be up to 58,000 before we have to do another resolution, but it can be up to that amount.
There's 45,000 in the PRC program.
Any other questions? Sarah?
What about, funding for the two mediators? Is that coming from the commissioners or does that come from fair housing?
That is part of the resolution that we passed as part of our AFS program. So the support for the fair housing has come to the Commissioners for Job and Family Services.
Okay.
This is a separate program from the rental assistance,
Right.
which we said they all kind of build it, their planks and porch to build together. But we were able to put together this coalition and hire the two navigators because we have a contract between fair housing and Job and Family Services through the Commissioners to do that. So that's really the basis of what we're announcing today is this contract partnership. We waited years to do it. Thank you to Marie Flannery who came to us and pushed us over to go on that.
Is that a one-year contract or kind of a, I guess I'm curious how long that funding
Well,
is.
we get funding on a rolling, on a federal year.
It's an ongoing.
Right.
So,
The federal year starts in July, so this is timely.
we always reevaluate, many times we have the same program. So this is a great start for when they have money to do it. We made this a priority this year. Yeah, out of our funds.
Only other question I have is if we can speak it out to how this mediation, like what's in it for landlords? I think sometimes people think programs like this are solely designed to help tenants who are in a bind, and I think.
Well, I think what's in it for landlords is that evictions are expensive.
And there are many options, if I could interject just a second. You know, if you're in a forcible entry detainer action, which is what an eviction is called, you have certain remedies as a tenant. Rent withholding, as we indicated, if there are problems with repairs, you can go through a rent withholding process. This could avoid that, and it is something that is, there's benefit to all parties if they compromise and settle it themselves rather than having a court settle.
If families can stabilize, then that helps the landlord as well.
And the $58,000 is for only for rental properties, rental assistance? not
Right.
mortgages.
Right.
I think we've had the reaction we've had from landlords, talking especially landlords that have large tracts. There's landlords in town that own 200 or 300 properties that rent out. They're very excited about this too. They've been waiting for that kind of neutral space because I think the community a large times think that the landlord's probably wrong and the tenant's always right. And we don't need to evaluate that here. This is a process that's neutral. And the reaction that we've had from landlords on this has been overwhelming. You're right. They don't want to go to court. It costs them time and money to do it. When we talk about assistance, many landlords are working people also. They own a couple, 3 or 4 pieces of rental property. That's a common thread in the rental community. If they've been out of work, maybe they can't get the repairs done that they promised the tenant, not because they're evil or they want to make bad housing, but there's pressures on the landlords right now too to do that. So when you have that kind of dialogue, yeah, I promised you I'd get to this roof. I can't. I've been out of work, and you're withholding the rent. This is a safe, neutral space for those grievances to be resolved upstream from the person.
When tenants are scared, they stop talking to the landlord. This helps with the communication to get things back on track.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.